The newly transferred black student faces mockery from bullies, unaware of the deeper truths. He's a formidable combatant. This tale will ignite your passion and ultimately inspire you to rise in applause. As Dorian strolled through the ornate gates of Winston University, his full scholarship in hand, he believed that his greatest hurdle would be tackling the advanced calculus classes ahead of him. Yet those entitled fraternity members? Upon seeing his skin color, they chose to turn his life into a nightmare. What was unknown to them? Prior to Dorian achieving straight-A status, he dedicated years to rigorous training in some of Chicago's most challenging dojos. So when will that happen? You corner a skilled fighter? Well, let's just say these bullies are in for a rude awakening when it comes to the consequences of their actions. Allow me to transport you to Dorian's inaugural day at Winston. Imagine this. A vast expanse of stylish backpacks and privileged youth. There he stands, clad in the well-worn blazer that his mother had meticulously pressed just the evening prior. As he strides toward his advanced physics class, a whisper reaches his ears. Must be lost. The community college is located in the heart of downtown. There stands Chad Thompson, a smirk on his face that likely exceeds the value of Dorian's whole collection of clothes. However, Dorian? He strides forward, shoulders squared, head held high. Growing up on the side of Chicago imparted a valuable lesson to him. At times, the wisest strategy is to allow your adversaries to believe they have you all figured out. Within the confines of his backpack, 3 acceptance letters from prestigious Ivy League institutions and medals from martial arts competitions that would swiftly erase those smug expressions. Soft murmurs trail behind him as he enters the classroom. Chad loudly informs his fraternity brothers, likely referencing an affirmative action case, ensuring that everyone is within earshot. Yet, when Professor Martinez poses a question about quantum mechanics that leaves the whole class perplexed, who do you think is the sole student with his hand raised? The expression on Chad's face as Dorian unravels the intricate theory? Invaluable. However, that's when the intrigue begins to unfold. Following class, Chad and his friends confront Dorian in the corridor. "Hey, scholarship kid," Chad says, stepping in front of him. "Here at Winston, we have a charming little tradition. New students must demonstrate their place within the community." Dorian senses the tightness in his muscles. Not out of fear, but as a result of years of dedicated training taking over. He has the power to conclude this at this very moment, yet his mother's words echo in his mind. Your purpose isn't to engage in conflict. Your purpose is to triumph in their arena. What Chad and his crew failed to grasp was that they had just committed the gravest error of their college lives. While they were caught up in their next tradition, Dorian was engaged in a game of chess, not checkers. He retrieved his phone and pressed record, ensuring that every word of their brief welcome speech was immortalized. Years spent confronting bullies had imparted a singular lesson to him. Your most reliable companion is documentation. Listen up, everyone, Dorian says with a steady voice, his phone continuing to capture the moment. I'm simply here to focus on my studies, just like you. But Chad steps closer, that once charming smile twisting into something sinister. Just like us. How charming. However, let's be honest. You don't quite fit the Winston mold. His friend's chuckle goes unnoticed as Dorian's posture subtly changes, his weight shifting like a tightly wound spring. At that moment, Jessica Chen, the editor of the student newspaper, strolls past. She has been conducting an investigation into Winston's past instances of discrimination. And wow, did she just strike gold. She feigns ignorance, yet her phone has been capturing everything as well. Observe, that's the essence of bullies. They are so fixated on their goal that they fail to recognize the broader context. Later that day, Dorian finds himself in the library, where he catches snippets of Chad's group scheming something grander. The discussion revolves around the forthcoming presentations for the physics project. It seems they have some unique intentions for the scholarship student. Little do they realize that Dorian has already anticipated their moves, positioning himself 3 steps ahead. Recall those martial arts tournaments? They imparted more than just the art of combat to him. They imparted lessons in strategy, patience, and above all, the art of transforming an adversary's strength into a vulnerability. "Hey, Chad," Dorian calls out, his voice echoing through the stillness of the library. "I am eager to collaborate on that project." The expression of bewilderment on Chad's face? That's what occurs when your objective ceases to behave like an objective. The following morning, Dorian shows up early to discover his locker covered in printouts detailing scholarship requirements. Quite understated, wouldn't you say? Yet, what truly captivates his attention is something entirely different. A faded photograph hidden away in the shadows. It features the Winston University class of 1963, and you won't believe what happens next. There wasn't a single individual of color to be found. At that moment, Sarah, a junior in the archives, makes her way over to him. She whispers, glancing around, "They did the same thing to my brother 2 years ago. He moved on. I couldn't endure it any longer." Her hands tremble as she retrieves additional photographs. Additional files. It appears that Chad's fraternity, Beta Theta, has upheld Winston's traditions for an impressive 60 years. That's a way to exclude individuals like Dorian. However, this is where things take a fascinating turn. As Chad and his friends engage in their playful antics, Dorian is immersed in his true passion, engaging in academic pursuits. It's not solely about physics, however. He is examining them closely, their designs, their vulnerabilities. At lunchtime, he observes Chad ridiculing another freshman, this time a Latino student named Miguel. Dorian's fists tighten beneath the table, his training urging him to take action. Instead, he retrieves his phone, launches his notes app, and begins to type. Chad's crew isn't merely harassing others. They are operating an intricate, deceitful operation. Affluent students hiring others to complete exams, craft essays, and handle various assignments. What about Dorian? He is meticulously recording every detail. A voice whispers from behind him, urging him to go. It's Brad, the loyal associate of Chad, attempting to project an air of menace. Yet Dorian merely grins, a smile forged through countless battles against adversaries in the arena. He expresses his gratitude for the guidance. "However, I believe I will remain here." Excitement is on the horizon. The following day at the campus gym, a transformation unfolds. Chad and his crew stride in confidently as Dorian engages in his morning workout. Something intriguing. He has been doing it every day since he was 12. Unbeknownst to them, however, all they perceive is yet another opportunity to target the scholarship student. "Hey, listen up, guys," Chad mocks with a voice that carries, attempting to bulk up so you can finally fit in around here. Silence envelopes the gym. Students feign concentration on their workouts, yet all eyes are on them. This is the moment Chad has eagerly anticipated. An opportunity to publicly shame Dorian. "What do you think about a fun contest?" Chad indicates the boxing ring in the corner. The victor earns admiration. Failure? Indeed, those who struggle often find their place in the world. The reality is Chad holds state boxing titles. His father invested in the finest trainers available. What is it that he remains unaware of? Dorian has been instructing advanced martial arts classes since the age of 16. "Are you certain? What can you tell me about this?" Dorian inquires softly, offering Chad one final opportunity to withdraw. Chad is already shedding his designer hoodie, surrounded by his fraternity brothers as they gather around the ring. The gym is becoming quite crowded now. It appears that news spreads quickly at Winston. That's when something truly remarkable unfolds. Miguel, the Latino boy from yesterday, begins to live stream on his phone. Sarah from the archives retrieves hers as well. Even some of Chad's own fraternity brothers find it hard to resist. There's a certain satisfaction in witnessing a bully face the consequences of their actions. The first one to give in is the loser, Chad declares, springing on his toes as if victory is already his. Dorian merely nods in acknowledgement, serene like a tranquil lake. And when Chad delivers his first punch, it's flawless. Classic right hook. Dorian has vanished completely. Years of preparation come into play. He glides like a wisp of smoke, and in an instant, Chad finds himself staring at the ceiling, bewildered by the sudden turn of events. The footage of Chad crashing to the mat circulates quicker than a campus Wi-Fi password. Yet Dorian understands the importance of restraint in celebration. This is when entitled aggressors pose the greatest threat. Chad's feelings go beyond mere embarrassment. His entire facade of superiority crumbled before the eyes of all. The following day in advanced physics, Professor Martinez reveals the midterm project. Collaborators. What a shocker. Dorian is assigned to work with Chad. Keep in mind, Martinez emphasizes this project accounts for 40% of your grade. The glare Chad directs at Dorian is enough to chill the very depths of the underworld. Once class is over, Chad approaches Dorian in the computer lab. Pay attention, he whispers with urgency. I have no interest in your skills when it comes to combat. A single phone call from my father to the dean, and just like that, you're out of here. Yet Dorian continues to type away, retrieving documents on his laptop. Fascinating, he remarks, as I have a few calls to attend to as well. While Chad focused on his attempts to intimidate, Dorian was quietly amassing the evidence he needed. Images capturing the fraternity's scheme of academic dishonesty. Correspondence regarding compensation for test participants. A collection of past exams stored in a shared drive. Dorian says quietly, "You're not the only one who understands how to navigate the system. The distinction lies in my ability to endure. You discovered the art of deception." At that moment, Chad commits his gravest error. He reaches for Dorian's laptop, but security cameras have a way of complicating matters. They observe every detail. The lab assistant, a reserved girl named Amy who has been observing everything, rises to her feet. "I've captured everything on film," she declares, gesturing towards the ceiling. Each and every word. Chad's expression shifts through a myriad of emotions, each more frantic than the last. Why now? He stands at a crossroads, faced with a decision to ponder. Every decision carries its own weight. One might assume Chad would learn from that experience, yet privilege has a peculiar way of influencing one's perspective. It leads individuals to believe they are invincible. The following morning, Dorian strides into the cafeteria to discover Chad and his crew gathered closely, chuckling at their phones. A single glance at his phone reveals the answer. A deceptive social media profile has been crafted, showcasing manipulated images that suggest Dorian dishonestly approached his entrance exams. Typical behavior of someone from privilege, attempting to portray the scholarship student as the true imposter. However, the reality of growth is this. In the manner that Dorian approached it, one develops the habit of retaining receipts. Interesting timing, Dorian remarks, as he takes a seat opposite Chad. Silence envelopes the cafeteria. All eyes are on us. The phone is prepared, particularly since I just sent an email to Professor Martinez with all the proof of who has truly been dishonest. He retrieves his phone, displaying the email he sent to Chad, incorporating that intriguing group chat where you all coordinate your test-taking service. Chad's complexion pales, matching the crispness of his pressed polo shirt. "You're bluffing," he stammers, though his hands betray him, trembling slightly. At that moment, Jessica from the student newspaper rises from the adjacent table. "He isn't," she states, raising her recorder high. "I've conducted interviews with 10 students who were misled by your actions." However, the true surprise comes when Miguel, the boy they had tormented earlier, begins to play a video on his phone, the sound booming for all to hear. Chad and his friends are boasting about their long-standing cheating operation. It appears that Miguel has been compiling his own evidence as well. Soft murmurs ripple through the cafeteria. Chad's fraternity brothers begin to retreat from their table, hastily erasing messages on their phones. That's precisely the behavior one expects when disaster looms on the horizon. They sprint. That afternoon, tensions reach their peak in the campus parking lot. Chad stands by Dorian's car, but this time he finds himself alone. All alone, without support, just a privileged youth watching everything fall apart. "You believe you've triumphed," he growls, the soles of his designer shoes scraping against the pavement. "My father shall—" "What will it be?" Dorian interrupts him. "Shall I draft another check? Shall we place a few calls?" that may have been effective in the past, but circumstances evolve. He pulls out his phone, revealing to Chad the trending hashtag #HickoryWinstonCheaters. The narrative has spread far and wide. Twitter, Instagram, and even the local news are all buzzing with curiosity. Chad surged ahead, unleashing a frantic punch. However, this setting is far from the controlled atmosphere of the gym. The security cameras capture the moment perfectly as Dorian effortlessly sidesteps, allowing Chad's forward momentum to propel him directly into a puddle. At times, the universe takes care of its own balance effortlessly. "You don't get it," Chad says, his voice trembling as he struggles to stand up. "This was meant to be my enduring mark. One of the buildings bears my father's name." At that moment, Sarah from the archives takes the spotlight. It appears she has been capturing everything that has transpired. "How amusing that you bring up that building," she remarks. "Just wait until everyone finds out the story behind your family's donation." However, there is an intriguing aspect to Dorian. He has no desire to bring ruin to Chad. He discovered long ago that genuine triumph isn't about defeating your adversary. "Here," he says, extending a hand to help Chad rise. "You have two options to consider. Continue to entrench yourself further or consider a fresh beginning. Improve your efforts. Strive for improvement." The upcoming days at Winston carry a distinct atmosphere. News travels quickly on a college campus, but transformation accelerates even more swiftly. Chad's fraternity faces suspension while an investigation is underway. The cheating ring has been unveiled. Yet, the true transformation unfolds in the stillness of those subtle instances. As Dorian sits down for lunch, he observes something intriguing and fresh. Students who once preferred solitude are now gathering around larger tables. Miguel is providing tutoring to some freshmen in Spanish. Sarah is assembling a student committee to evaluate the university's inclusion policies. It felt as though the entire crowd was poised, anticipating the moment when someone would finally take a stand. Starting off strong. Can you believe the most astonishing aspect is? While crafting her newspaper article, Jessica shares her thoughts with Dorian. A few of Chad's fraternity brothers stepped up, presenting additional evidence. They had grown weary of it as well, simply overwhelmed by fear to express anything. Regarding Chad, he remains present. That's not the way things operate in reality. Instead, he's taking an unexpected turn. He's finally attending the study group and completing his own assignments for the first time. It appears that when you eliminate the easy paths, individuals can truly astonish you. After class, Professor Martinez beckons Dorian to step aside. "There were other ways to approach this," she remarks. "One could have countered the flames with flames." Dorian simply smiles. "My mother always taught me that the wisest warriors understand the importance of restraint." At that moment, he spots Chad in the hallway, making his way to the library. As their gazes lock, an unmistakable shift lingers in the air. Not camaraderie. That's not the way authentic narratives conclude. Perhaps it's more about something akin to respect. Have you ever considered what they fail to mention about confronting bullies? The true triumph lies not in the grand occasions, the clashes, the revelations, the trending clips. It's in the subtle transformations that follow. Just as the next scholarship student entering Winston's gates will be free from the burden of looking back. Or how Miguel now boldly raises his hand in class, his voice resonant and assured. A month later, Dorian finds himself in the library when a freshman makes their way over to him. "Is it true?" she inquires, her voice tinged with anxiety. "Their remarks on the impact you've made." Dorian surveys the library with keen interest. A diverse group engaged in collaborative study. It's a Chad, to be precise, assisting another individual with their academic assignments. At Sarah, coordinating a panel on diversity with the backing of the dean. He insists that nothing has been altered. Everyone participated. At times, individuals simply require a glimpse of what can be achieved. He casts a fleeting look at his phone. Received a fresh message from his mom. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. You strategized wisely, rather than exerting unnecessary effort." This narrative truly centers around that idea. It's more than mere karma or justice. It's about making a choice. Strategies for confronting your challenges. The reality is this. There's no requirement for extraordinary abilities or advanced fighting techniques to confront bullies. At times, what you truly require is the bravery to embark on that initial journey, the insight to collect your proof, and the endurance to allow fate to unfold in its own time. When it comes to the concept of karma, if this narrative resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in exploring more tales of justice being served, take a look at the playlist that's popping up on your screen right now. You'll definitely want to stay tuned for what unfolds next. Keep in mind that true transformation begins within yourself. One clever decision at a time.